Boolean operations. You can use the Boolean operations to create complex solid models. The following tutorials are excerpts from my tutorials online at youtube.com. These tutorials show how to use the operations of union, subtract, and intersect. The union command defines a new solid that consists of the common and uncommon volume between two or more solids. When using the subtract command, two sets of solids are selected and a single solid will be created based on the subtraction of one solid from the other. The intersect command defines a new solid based on the common volume between selected solids, and all other material is discarded. Tutorial 1. In this drawing, I'll create a solid model of the object and place it in the upper right corner of the drawing. I'm using a split screen as a convenience. I use the rectangle command, copy the two rectangles, and move them to the upper right. Extrude the two rectangles to a height of 1 unit each. I'll use the endpoint OSNAP, grab the small red box and move it on top of the larger box. Use the union command to join both boxes together, render the object, and the solid is complete. Then I can click on the Layout 1 button, move into Paperspace, and create a small rectangular viewport for the new model. When the drawing is ready for printing, it will contain orthographic views and also any desired view of the 3D model. Tutorial 2 is another simple detailed drawing. A solid model of this object will be created and placed in the upper right corner of the drawing. I'll use a polyline and trace over the perimeter of the top view. And when that is completed, I'll move the tracing to the right and go into the southeast isometric view. Now the object will be extruded to a height of 2 units. And then I'll use the 3D rotate tool and rotate the object 90 degrees clockwise. After rendering, the solid is complete, and I can click on the Layout 1 button, move into Paperspace, create a small rectangular viewport for the new solid. This drawing consists of 3 solids which have not been joined together. I use the rectangular command and trace over 3 squares in the top view and move them to the upper right. Go to southeast isometric and extrude all squares to a height of 1 unit. Change the colors of the boxes and move them to the desired location. When that is done, I'll render the objects and the solids will be complete, but they will not be joined. At this point, I can click on the Layout 1 button and move into Paperspace, create a small rectangular viewport for the new solid. I know that these simple objects are easy to understand and create in 2D and 3D. Nevertheless, I have to remember that most of my students are freshmen and have never had experience with any kind of a CAD program. These projects were designed to be simple so that new students would develop confidence and not be easily discouraged. In this project, a solid model of the object will be placed in the upper right corner of the drawing. Using the rectangle command, I'll trace the 3 rectangles in the top view. I'll go into southeast isometric view and extrude them. Using the OSNAP command, move all the boxes to the desired location. With the union command, join all the solids together to form a new object. Render the object and the solid is complete. Then click on the Layout 1 button, move into Paperspace, and create a small viewport for the new solid. In this tutorial, another solid model will be created. The Boolean subtract operation is important here. Use a polyline and trace the perimeter of the front view and move it to the upper right. Use a polyline to trace the small right triangle. Move it to the southeast isometric view. Extrude the four-sided polygon to a height of 0.75. Extrude the triangle to a height of 0.25. Select both solids and rotate them 90 degrees counterclockwise using 3D Rotate tool. Use the O-snap set to midpoint and move the triangular solid inside the larger solid. Subtract the triangular solid and render the object, and the solid will be complete. And once again, move into paper space and then create a small viewport for the new solid. Tutorial 6. This is another easy example of how the Boolean subtract operation can simplify the making of a solid model. I'll use a polyline, trace the perimeter of the large triangle and move it. Then I'll use a polyline again to trace the small triangle. I'll move into the southeast isometric view, and then I'll extrude the large triangle to a height of 1.38 units and extrude the small one to a height of 0.63 units. I can select both solids and rotate them 90 degrees counterclockwise using the 3D Rotate tool. Using O-snap set to endpoint, move the small triangle solid inside the larger one. Subtract the smaller solid, render the object, and the solid is complete.